Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to tell you something that no one will ever tell you. No one dares to tell you, and probably I will regret to tell you. I've been thinking over and over, and I hope it's not too late to do this. It's about the truth of this tariff war. Let me tell you, there is no such thing as tariff war. Whereas U.S. and China trade war, this is all fake, you know. I don't dare to tell you what really happens, but I'm going to play it for you. The first thing that happened is that late January or maybe early February, right after Trump took office, okay, and Trump is the one who liked to take all the credit. He want a major credit. He want a big win at his re-election. So Trump wants to be the one who ends the Ukrainian war. Well, Putin, he couldn't afford to go on anymore, because when he invaded Ukraine, he thought he could do a clean one. He thought he was dealing with Ukraine alone, and he thought the war is going to be finished within a few days or even a few hours. But then the NATO step in, then the Americans get involved, so the whole thing become something that won't end so soon. Well, Putin was congratulated. I guess they must be having a secret conversation over a phone or maybe some chat software. But Putin says, "Hey, Trump, congratulations on the re-election." Trump says, "What can I do for you?" He says, I need a favor." "What kind of favor?" And Putin says, "I need 2 weeks." Trump says, 2 weeks of what? And Putin says, "I need 2 weeks for the global media coverage to reduce to zero about Ukraine. I need 2 weeks of zero media exposure on Ukraine. This time is for me to handle Ukraine alone, because right now the U.S. seems to be back off from the Ukrainian war, but the NATO still think that Russia is a real threat. Well, at least France and British and German, they're even planning to deploy ground troops, reinforcement, to support Ukraine. Of course, they're going to fund the Ukraine and send them weapons. This is what Russia does not want. And if that happens, the war is not going to end anytime soon. So Putin says, "I need 2 weeks." Trump says, "Okay, 2 weeks. I'll think about it. What about I give you 4? I'll give you 4 months." And Putin says, "The more the merrier." And Trump says, "You leave the rest to me." Okay, then Trump made a plan. Okay, he and his buddy Vance, they planned a little thing. It's called not a little thing. Well, it's a global exposure, which is called a tariff war. The reason why U.S. is declaring a tariff war with the entire planet is because, including their NATO and the EU allies, is because they want everybody to think that their business interest is in jeopardy. So when people think their business is bad, and when that happens, the fate of Ukraine is no longer the top priority. So people will no longer. This kind of distraction is what Ukraine does not want, because without attention, there will be no money and no weapon and no troops helping Ukraine. So Putin is going to use these 2 weeks to completely remove the leverage of Ukraine in the future negotiation. So every country, all the EU and NATO partner, the US is giving them 90 days of whatever. So they never really intend to increase the tariff between them. And what they need is get China also involved, because China and Russia are close ally, and this play is very important for China to step in, because when China and US is having this more than 100% of tariff, this is going to convince NATO that this tariff war is real. Okay, but the real price, the damage is that to suspend the China and the US trade for maybe at least a month. This is a price they're willing to pay if they can really end the war. And Putin says, okay, how can I return the favor? Trump says, how about you don't take the whole Ukraine? You just take what you currently occupy. Of course, Crimea is already yours, and I'll give you this 2 weeks so you can kick the Ukraine out of Russia. And then in the future negotiation, Ukraine have no leverage. They will just deal with whatever we tell them to do. And after that, U.S. is going to sign the mining contract to collect the resource of what is left in Ukraine. So this is how they plan. Trump is the one who ended the war, and Putin, after invasion and killing basically every young male in Ukraine and get their land, and finally Putin gets home without being punished. This is not acceptable. This is disgusting. Trump, you are, I was a fan of yours, not the big one, but I thought you were the man with confidence and determination, but this time, because you don't have what it takes to confront the real evil, you're going to cost American. You cannot imagine, because some 80 years ago, when America was trying to run away from the war that the whole world is fighting, what happened to you is Pearl Harbor. American warships sink at your own harbor, along with American soldiers' life. When you sleep with the devil, you will wake up in hell. You just didn't realize. You thought you're the one who ended the war. But actually, when 30 years ago, Bill Clinton made a promise to protect Ukraine, to tell Ukraine that they don't need their own nuclear device, that 3 countries along with you, USA, British, and Russia, 3 members of UN Security Council made the promise together. And then you break that promise because Russia is a big fucking bully. American and British, you guys are liars because you swear to protect them, but now it becomes you're going to try to help. Okay, you're going to try to help under conditions. First, Zelensky have to wear suits and ties. Second, they have to be grateful. Ukrainians have to keep thanking. Of course, Ukraine can do whatever you ask them because they really need you, but you let them down. You say you spend hundreds of billions, maybe that is true, but you could have saved the hundreds of billions to yourself because you don't have to promise Ukraine that this is a promise you can't keep, right? And I don't even know what to say because it's really disgusting. Because when Bill Clinton made that promise, that makes Americans promise. When Bill Clinton made a promise that he couldn't keep, that means American couldn't keep your promise. When Bill Clinton made the promise, that makes it the promise of Barack Obama, the promise of Joe Biden, and now should be the promise from you. But you just like pointing fingers and taking credits. Sometimes you need to take blame or take something called responsive fuckingability. But this is really sick because your decision betrayed this country. You set a very bad example because the whole global is seeing how big country break their promise. You know, the Russians, of course, is a big fucking bully, and British and U.S., you're just big fucking liars. All the mistake that Ukraine made is to trust the wrong person. Now this country has lost all the young male life. They're dying or they already died protecting the country, and finally probably will fall in the hands of demon. We don't know what will happen next. I'm just saying it to you because this whole tariff war has made me disgusting. This is not real. This is not real. Okay? the whole thing is this distraction from Ukraine, because Russians is now they're butchering, they're slaying the Ukrainians, and Ukrainians need your help. And I want the NATO leader to realize what is going on.